Hey, welcome to my video on my paint booth and my air system. If you don't know, if you've just come across this video, I am building a kit airplane, and most of the construction of this airplane is complete. And as you can see, I've kind of started taking the airplane apart because all the components get painted separately and then put back together once it's painted. So in order to get this airplane painted, I wanted to build a nice paint booth and a completely new air system in my hangar. Now, I've painted two other airplanes previous to this. In 2003, I painted a Rans S10, and then again in 2011, I painted a Rans S6. And to paint both of those airplanes, I used a Citation HVLP system, which is high volume, low pressure. And it worked well. I got a really nice finish on both of those airplanes. But what I did not like about that Citation sprayer is that it wastes a tremendous amount of paint. I could probably paint a wall standing 10 feet or 15 feet away from it. That's how much air or pressure comes out of that paint gun. So, you know, very little of your paint is actually going onto the surface of the airplane, and most of it's just going out the paint booth as overspray. So I'm not using that system to paint this airplane. I'm going to use automotive paint, which is a base coat, clear coat. And again, so I wanted a very nice professional, compressor and air system and everything for that setup. So let me start with the air compressor and the air line and all that, and then I'll show you the paint booth. All right, guys, this is my new air compressor that I bought. If you want to get some more information on it, just go to eastwood.com and you can read all the specs. But this is a scroll compressor, which means it does not have a piston that vibrates or goes up and down. So the compressor doesn't vibrate through the floor. It's actually very quiet, and it supplies plenty of pressure and CFMs and all that good stuff to run a paint gun. If we start from the connection coming out of the compressor, you will see I have this black flexible hose. And you always want to have a flexible hose before you kind of go into your air line. And that's just so that you can move the compressor to drain it, or if the compressor kind of moves, if it's vibrating on its own or whatnot, you have a flexible line that gives a little bit of wiggle room. Now, this blue line that you're going to see on the wall, it goes up to the ceiling and then over and then back down here. This blue line comes from a kit from Rapid Air. And I'll try to put a link to all these different components down below in the description box. But this is it's an aluminum line, but on the inside and outside of the line, it has this blue PVC coating. And you can see it comes with these little clips here that you can use to connect it to the wall. If you buy the kit from Rapid Air, you get 100 feet of this blue line. It's 3/4 inch line, and it comes in a roll. You know, you'll need to straighten that roll. You can do it either manually, or you can buy this tool here. And with this tool, I clamped it to a side of a workbench, and I ran the line through the tool. It's actually fairly difficult to do, to get it through there, and you kind of have to go back and forth with it and back and forth to get it straight. It does an okay job. Whether you buy a tool like this, it's up to you. You really don't need to buy this. You can straighten it almost just as well by hand. But here's what comes with the rest of that Rapid Air kit. You have a bunch of fittings like this. These are made to go on the wall, and then there's a drain on the bottom, and then coming from here, well, coming from the top, your blue line will go in there, and then coming from here will be your quick disconnect. Gives you a whole bunch of these wall mounts. You get a tool for cutting the blue hose. You get some fittings. These are extra ones that I did not use. And you get a tool for deburring the hose once you cut it. So back at the start here at the compressor, we have the flexible line. Then we have the blue line that comes over here to a T-fitting. Sometimes you'll have water that'll build up in the lines, and that's why you always have a drain at the bottom. So if there's ever any water that condenses in the line, you can just open this and drain it. But the airflow comes through here, through a shutoff valve, and into a nice, this is a real high quality air filter and dryer. This unit I think was $200 for this. Then it comes with a regulator. And one of the things you want to be careful of, and I see this mistake made all the time, I guess people don't really know, and to be honest, I didn't know until I started researching it. You'll see on a lot of people's setup, they have the air filter way over here by the compressor. In fact, right about where that black hose comes out is where they'd start to hooking up an air filter. And that does, according to the research I've done and the people at Eastwood, that does absolutely nothing to filter water or moisture out of your air. I guess you need, they say about 40 to 50 feet of hose before your water filter. And that lets the water or the air cool and the water condense out, which gives this water trap a chance to catch it. So anyway, that's why mine is way over here on the other side of this hose. And that's also why I have the hose going all the way up and over and down. It's just to get that required distance between the air filter, or between the compressor and the air filter. As you can see, I also have a hose reel that I have mounted to the wall. And I actually have to get another bolt, but these bolts here go into the stud, and because this would not go into a stud, obviously, I just made this board right here. I screwed it into the stud, then this goes into the stud, and then this screw here will actually just connect the black metal to this piece of wood to help hold it. And I probably don't even need that screw in there. It's pretty solid as it is, but that's why I have that extra piece of wood there. But this whole hose system is from a company called Flexzilla. And I bought all these components on Amazon, but they're really a nice, high quality hose and fittings. So this one here, I want to say was $189. It comes with this flexible hose here and then the hose reel. But I want to show you also these connectors here because, you know, with my other setup that I had for years just for blowing up air or putting air in tires, you know, I always had Harbor Freight fittings, and they're obviously just crap. They always leak air, they always break. So on this one, I wanted to get some really high quality fittings that don't leak and aren't going to break. So I bought this pack. This is also from Firezilla. It's the same company that makes that hose. And this is what you get. You get 2 of these connectors, 2 of these, the other one you saw on the hose. You get 4 of these. I have one installed here on the regulator. This will go on the end of the paint gun. And then you get 6 of these fittings here. So, you know, these are just real nice ones, and I shouldn't have any problem with them. All right, that is my complete air system. It's all good quality components. I did spend a little bit of money on this. I think the compressor was about $1,500, and then I have, I don't know, like $500 or $600 in, I think, all the other parts, but you can add all that up on Amazon. So anyway, that's the air. Let me now show you the paint booth. All right, here you can see my paint booth, and this is kind of a, what do they call it, a downdraft paint booth. So what I did in the hangar here, which you may or may not be able to see on the screen, is I ran a cable that I bought from Home Depot from the wall to the hangar door. And then you can see I also have another cable going from this wall over to that wall. And these cables are just attached to the wall with a hook. Probably doesn't take too much explanation for me to see what I've done. I've hung some tarps from both of those cables, creating a booth. This side here has 2 tarps just to make it fit. And eventually here, coming up soon, I'm going to remove the wings from this airplane. So once I remove the wings, I can close those tarps and have a nice booth. Now coming around the other side into the booth, We just have, the tarps create a nice wall. I have a bunch of wood here on the floor, and this wood is actually the crate that I built to go pick this airplane kit up at the factory, so I just saved the wood. And this fills kind of half the floor, and the other half of the floor here, I've been saving big pieces of cardboard. So I'll just cover the rest of the floor with the cardboard, and if I don't have enough, I'll go buy some more wood. I've also started hanging some lights here. I had 2 other fluorescent lights hung up at first, but when I plugged them in, they weren't very bright. So I took those down and I got these LED ones, and I just have 4 of them along this wall. And then along this wall here, I'm probably gonna make just some kind of portable stand with some more lights, because I want to have light on both sides. Of course, I have the top lights here that light the booth up pretty nicely. But so a couple more lights on this side, combined with these lights, I think will be enough light for painting in here. Now over here on the door, you can see I took off this insulation here because I have this fan. With this fan motor, I actually built this little this wooden cart with wheels so I can just roll it around. But what I'm going to do is I ordered a louvers that go into the door here. So I'll cut a hole in the door, put the louvers, and then maybe build like an aluminum box around the opening here with this fan. And then it'll go right up to the door like that. And it'll pull air in from the top of the booth, down through the fan, and out the bottom of the door. And I'll probably put a filter in between there. But my neighbor actually kind of did this same kind of paint booth setup. That's where I got the idea for it. And it worked really well for him. So I suspect I'll have pretty good results with it. All right, that should be it for this video. Thanks for watching. There's a couple more things I have to do to actually finish up the booth. There's a couple things I have to do to finish up the airplane, and then I am ready to start spraying paint. If you're interested in any of these components, like the hose reel or the filters or anything like that, check out the links on Amazon. Those links are right below this video in the description box. And if you want to follow along on the progress and see this airplane get painted, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'll be posting a lot more videos as I get into the painting.